Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions. We bring back Sean Smith. How you doing, Sean?
I'm good, Danny. I'm really, really good. Thanks for having me back. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. Obviously, we're in the eye of the storm of Q4, so which is something that we're going to obviously talk about a bit about today. Now, most people know who you are, obviously from being on the show previously. Just a quick bit background on yourself, who you are, what you do, just for those new viewers and listeners of the show.
Sure, yeah. So I'm Sean Smith. I own a company called Jungle Hustle. It does Amazon PPC. It's an agency does Amazon PPC management for sponsored products. And then we just built a company called, we built a software called PPC Agility. And so we've got those two things going on right now.
Cool. All right, so let's get straight into it. Let's just have a quick, we haven't had you on for a little bit. So let's talk about the last few months leading into Q4. Tell me a bit of data and what's been going on and what you're seeing across different accounts in September, October time, leading into November.
Yeah. So September and October were really bad months for the most part. I mean, in terms of like sales volume and ACOS as well. So like we saw that, I mean, it was just a lot harder to manage the ACOS for us. So we kind of had to really like push hard on making sure that we would make bid changes more frequently and run more aggressive tests because September and October was really, really tricky. I like, for example, one of my clients, they've been in business, they do like 50 million in retail and like they've been in business for a while. And, like these big companies, they know their seasonality pretty well. And he said every like year, September is like his worst year. And so I think it's kind of across the board. A lot of people were seeing it. Plus I saw a lot of like Facebook posts about like sales are down. So I definitely experienced that and kind of happy to get past that because it's just a pain in the butt for everybody,
Well,
money wise.
as well, I can imagine for you is that, especially if you've got, say, newer clients come on who doesn't understand the seasonality over the last few years, is that they always want you to tweak the campaigns because they're blaming, say, the sales on updating their listing or tweaking their campaigns based on their keywords rather than actually dealing with the season itself. So it can be a bit tricky from time to time, I imagine.
It depends on who you're working with. So for the most part, we work with it depends. So if there are seasoned business people who own companies, then it's a lot easier to be like, and they've been in e-commerce for a while. It's just so much easier to just be like, hey, this is what's happening. You know what the deal is. But yeah, for newer sellers, it's more of an education piece.
Yeah, I mean, the danger is, like you said, you see in Facebook groups where people will talk about, oh, whose sales are down today? Like that's I think comes from, being newer sellers and maybe not have the experience. Because if you're measuring your sales based on today instead of a 30-day rolling period, then I think that it just doesn't tell you. There's nothing there that can tell you. And if you start touching your listings off that, it can be a bit scary. So, right. So what we're saying is that September and October was a bit of a shit show. Yeah. So
Yeah, it wasn't great, man.
you're pleased to get through that, and I'm sure
Yeah.
most of the sellers are. So that's the calm before the storms. That's that little dip before Q4. Tell me a little bit about what's been happening in November.
So basically what we're doing is we're kind of preparing for basically like the holidays, Cyber Monday, Black Friday. We've been doing keyword research. We actually like have been like finding keywords at like Black Monday, Cyber Monday, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Christmas, things like that. So if we have work with clients that have giftable items, then we'll like target those we'll use like super low bids, broad and phrase match. And then but there is like, it's really interesting. There's some volume for like some of our clients' keywords. And so we're able to kind of like test those out. So we want to test those giftable items. And then November is just really preparing for making sure, like putting together a plan so that we cap the daily budget
Mm.
of the each account. And then we also, we increase it, but we cap it because PPC tends to go through the roof on those days. Like if you don't cap it,
Yeah,
then it's going to burn through a lot of money.
yeah,
And I don't think the return is there in terms of like the amount of spend for the sales. So
yeah.
it's good to cap it, and then you just get that extra organic. I mean, you can there's totally. I mean, you could totally break it down to like day parting and all that stuff, but we usually that's kind of that's our plan for the holidays and for coming up. And also, yeah, just making sure everybody's, and I mean, I always have the conversation, months ago, like 3 or 4 months ago, we talked about Q4. So the clients that I like to work with people who like plan ahead. And so I'd be like, hey, what's going on with Q4? Like, have you been planning inventory so that, because when they make money, I make money, and we all make money. And so just getting everything ready on the campaign side, a lot more communication as well. So because people want to know what your plan is for Q4, because it's so big for them that they want to know what you're doing as well on the ad side.
Yeah. And so what other data are we seeing in November as opposed to October and September? What changes have you seen? And what things can people prepare for? I mean, we can talk about Black Friday and Cyber Monday. They are one-off days in that 90-day period, which represents Q4. So give me some of the things that you've been doing across client accounts that are maybe a little bit different, a bit maybe off the wall, if you like, in terms of your approach.
Yeah. I don't know if it's super off the wall, but we're like kind of keeping it pretty low key, because I think what happens is before these big shopping days, a lot of people do a lot of like window shopping, and then they'll put them in their like save for later type things. And so I'm just trying to keep it low key, man, trying to just keep everything pretty steady state, focus on like, like profitable campaigns and things like that. So really just kind of trying to fly under the radar. I know some people are increasing bids maybe to like gain traction before the holidays. I always tend to like, if everybody goes left, you go right type thing. And so we're just trying to keep it low key, keep it conservative, keep it cash flow positive. And then once those day comes, we're going to cap the daily budgets, but I'm probably not going to do the like increase the bids too crazy, because conversions will probably be pretty good, but everybody else is going to be increasing their bids as well. So you don't want to end up in a race to the bottom situation.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, outside of an agency and people dealing for the first time on Amazon, maybe on their first couple of products, they're probably just whacking and topping out on their bids, aren't they? So there's a market start to follow suit there. Now, an interesting thing you just brought up just prior in your conversation that I picked out was that you were saying about people saving for later. Now, obviously, there's a lot of talk on people going, well, I'm wasting my clicks, and they're not converting. There's a good point you brought up there, is if people are window shopping and saving for later to wait for deals, so they're clicking on the ads and then they're keeping them on a wish list somewhere. That brings in an interesting fact. And obviously, a lot of people are paranoid about fraudulent clicks, so they might be misconstruing fraudulent clicks from other people. The other thing is that you've got to look at is the format as well, is that if people are moving from device to device, they might start on the mobile, which is going to give you a limit of the amount of ads that show compared to the desktop.
Yep.
So then they click on the mobile device, because that's where they're doing their basic research before the purchase. So this could be a period where you get a lot of clicks without sales, and then you'll look at your cold hard data and you go, well, that keyword's not working, let's get rid of that or drop the bid. So it's very hard to judge that,
Well, and there's two huge things that happen that are kind of crazy. Is like, just off the top of my head, I got emails from 3 of my clients, refunds for like fraudulent clicks. But it was for a 6-month window from like April to now to November. I think it was like around 6 months. And it was 3 different clients, and they said it was invalid clicks. But it was like such a nominal amount that like, it was just like not even crazy. But I'm hoping that Amazon will do these like sweeps every few months where they send you a refund every time period. That would be really, really nice, because that goes to show that they're like getting better at like finding the fraudulent clicks and things like that. And then the other thing was, there's a CPC Strategy wrote a post about the right rail going away. I asked, I have like an agency rep at Amazon, and I asked him if the right rail is going away, and he said it is being deprecated. So me being me, I went over to dictionary.com to find out what deprecated means, because it was one of those things where like everybody's like right rail's going away, blah blah blah, and it was like it's kind of like journalism, like they're like feeding off of the scarcity or whatever. But deprecation is just that like they're not favoring it. So it sounds like maybe they're like, maybe the impression share, and then increase like the theory is that it's going to decrease the amount of impressions that you get for an ad and increase the CPC for the ad as well, because there's less spots. So that's kind of coming in the pipeline. That'll be interesting to see. And that could be, I mean, I don't know. I'm like waiting to see what's going to happen there pretty much. And I want to get like firm confirmation at one point that they're going to get rid of them totally, because that's huge, man. That's really, really huge if they get rid of the right rail, because that's like from like potentially five spots, kind of bet, two up here and then three to just one or two at the top.
No, that's going to have a massive impact on people spending, because all it's going to do is drive more people for visibility. Because if there limits the amount of spots, then obviously people are going to pump up their CPCs. But you've got to also take into consideration the relevancy as well. Is going to make more and more of an impact. So people can't just up their bids in the future. They have to be obviously taking consideration relevancy. And I think this is where like external traffic will start to come in at some point as well. More and more people using the blend of the two. Do you see what I mean? Just to get that driving impressions, getting them to the listing, get some more eyeballs, getting the rewards of external traffic and things like that. I think you're going to get a little bit more of that in the more super like competitive areas. So let's talk a little bit more about the Q4 aspect. So we know increased clicks are going to come. People got to work on what kind of strategy they're going to go for. Most people go balls to the wall, don't they? They just whack up their bids and then panic afterwards. Now, your strategy is what you're saying is that you're maintaining who you are and what you do and allow everyone else to go and fight it out, if you like.
Yeah. Just keep it low key and keep the bids regulated and just, focus on like a profitable campaign. And then we'll see the results, because then the organic will go through the roof and we'll be good to go. So just kind of like, just focus on like sustainability, man, just sustainability for the campaigns. That's it.
Yep. Okay. So let's fast forward. Let's fast forward a bit. Everyone has a great Q4. What happens at the end? I mean, people have pumped all their bids up and made these changes. What should people do before they disappear on holiday and count the swag bags from their sales? Hopefully everyone knows a great Q4 and there's not loads of returns in January for them. What does this mean in terms of preparing those campaigns or adjusting those campaigns for January?
Yeah. So what I would do is you would want to, before you increase the bids, I don't know if you've done this already, but make a record of, so this is something you can do with bulk operations that you can't do with Campaign Manager, is you can actually take a snapshot of your bids before you make changes and then archive those and then upload those afterwards. And so after Q4, you're going to want to bring your bids down, because if you don't, you're going to like spend a lot of money on advertising, especially if you pump things up. So January, bring down the bids, because if not, you're going to lose some money, man. So that's it. And make sure the most accurate way to do it would be to use bulk operations, download your current campaign structure, archive it in a Google Sheet, and then make your changes, upload those changes, and then hang on to this. And then once you get past Q4, upload that again. But if not, either make a mental note, write it down, like about how much you increase the bids by, and then you're going to want to cut them back down, chop them back down, because if you don't, then your campaigns are going to be a lot less profitable.
Cool. And you mentioned to me earlier, like pre-call, we were discussing, you were talking about you've got an account where there was some capping in terms of inventory on Amazon, and that you had to move campaigns and replicate them. What kind of damage is that done to the campaigns, or what kind of effect, should I say, is it had on the campaign?
So we haven't even finished that. So we haven't even they haven't transitioned over yet. We don't know what's going to happen, but basically what happened, you're pretty much right, Danny. Like, so someone I work with, Amazon is capping the amount of units that they can send in for like specific products. And that's really damaging, especially if you have a Q4 coming up, because you want to make as much money as possible. So your inventory planning, your inventory plans go to the side, kind of. So luckily they had an existing account that they've had for a while, but ultimately, like, I don't know. What really sucks is because so we're just gonna copy the campaigns from one account to another. We can just duplicate that using bulk information. We don't have to go in and do it. Um, but what really sucks is like we don't know how it's gonna perform on this other account. So
We
it's an
got
unknown.
Yeah,
And
that's what
it's
I
not
was
gonna
going to say. Is that you've got no conversion history, no impressions, no information there. So
yeah.
probably going to take a while for that campaign to warm up. It's a bit like a Facebook pixel where that has to be groomed and warmed up, before it starts to become really
No, man.
effective. So it's a shame, but it's not. That part of it is out of your hands, and it's your client who has to kind of deal with that. But it'd be interesting to see how they had to go about that, because people need to have workarounds. Let's just say everyone is capped and they
Yep.
can't sell their new products they're invested in since, say, August, to raise the cash flow for that. I
Yep.
mean, what are the steps? What did people do in order to move it across to another campaign? Did they use a friend's account? Did they start up a secondary account under another business enterprise, or what?
Yeah, yeah. You could do the best way to do it, you could do a friend's account. That'd probably be the best way to do it. You could start another seller account under another entity as long as you get user permissions from Amazon, and then you just download your campaign history.
Hmm.
I usually, I'm a huge fan of month to date data. That's just my favorite because Amazon usually has a change at the beginning of the month, and I believe every like 1 or 2 months is kind of a new season in the e-commerce space. So I would use like month to date data if you have at least 7 days worth of data. Download it into a spreadsheet, and then once you open that new account and you've got the inventory in, you can just upload it,
Yeah.
and everything's replicated. Pretty easy actually. And then using a friend's account, that'd probably be the easiest route if you have a friend that's selling on Amazon. Or yeah, either or. It's if you use a friend's account, the advantage is like they've got the seller. Like using a friend's account, you've got the seller ratings. You've got more history. You've got a lot of different things that like there's a lot of advantages to that on like the technical side for Amazon. If you open a new account, man, you don't have any seller feedback. You're starting off dry, which is not the most ideal situation. You'd rather want to have like an aged account. It reminds me of like SEO, like aged domains like tend to perform well. So I feel like in the internet world, something that's older tends to be favored, especially if it has a positive track record because it shows consistency over time.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. Okay, putting you on the spot here. 2018. Give me some predictions you see with PPC.
Predictions on PPC. I think what's going to happen is it's just going to it's pretty straightforward. It's going to be more competitive than it used to be. Especially if they're deprecating the right rails. And I mean, what happens is when you limit ad space, you really it's going to like the bigger brands are going to get favored because they can pay for the clicks. And so Google did this as well. They started favoring. And I think what's going to happen is Amazon's going to continue to consolidate their traffic. And so for 2018, I always tell people to get really good at like conversion optimization, because if they're going to consolidate traffic and relevancy, they're working on relevancy and like these artificially increasing rank and things like that. If it becomes less effective, then focusing on like converting traffic is going to be really, really important. And it helps lower the ACoS as well. So for 2018, I would say like focusing on conversions and get more SKUs out the door. And on the PPC side, the big thing is focus on conversions because that drives your ACoS down. So if you're better at conversion optimization, then your ACoS will go down. So like products that can be bought over and over usually have higher conversion rates. But I just think it's just going to get a bit more pricey. So getting higher priced items out the door, like higher priced SKUs, would probably be a decent idea. And if you have what I would do is if you have a history on Amazon, calculating your average cost per click over time for your SKUs would be a good practice, because that's data at the SKU level. And then you can actually pull that by category as well, because that's what we do. Like, dude, one of the biggest things when we audit an account, man, the first thing I want to know is I want to know the average cost per click for that product and the price. Yeah. And then once I know those two factors and the margins, I need to know these three. and then I can kind of go forward with that. But so 2018, I think those are like good advices. Oh, and 2018 on the PPC side, I guess a good opportunity is when we were at Global Sources Summit, we were at that panel for the 8-figure panel, and they said the biggest opportunity was like other marketplaces. So for 2018, I think a good opportunity is to like get into. I know you talked about Japan, Danny, and really looking at other marketplaces more seriously, because there's a lot bigger barriers to entry, and they're like the platforms are just so immature compared to the U.S. platform, Germany platform, and I think Germany, UK, and US I think are like the most mature at the moment. But going for those new ones is going to be like a really good move.
Cool. Well, look, let's wrap it there. So thank you for coming on, Sean. How can people reach you if they want to get your advice or work with you in any way?
Yeah. Just Sean, SEAN at junglehustle.com is my email. Just reach out to me if you have any questions with, PPC, technical PPC, things like that.
Excellent. All right, guys. Thanks again for joining us. We do appreciate your time. We will see you again next week. Take care.
Bye, guys.